Hello everybody, welcome to my channel.
Lucille Ball was one of the most iconic figures in American entertainment history, a pioneering comedian, actress, and businesswoman whose influence still shapes television today. Early life. Lucille Désirée Ball was born on August 6, 1911, in Jamestown, New York. Her childhood was marked by hardship, including the early death of her father and financial struggles. From a young age, she displayed a love for performing. She pursued acting at drama school in New York City, where she studied alongside future stars like Bette Davis. Though she initially struggled to find success, Hollywood beginnings. Ball began her career as a model and chorus girl before making her way into Hollywood in the 1930s. She became known as the Queen of the B-movies at RKO Pictures, appearing in supporting roles in films such as Stage Door, 1937, and Too Many Girls, 1940, where she met Cuban bandleader Desi Arnaz, who would later become her husband. Although she never reached the heights of dramatic stardom in films, Ball discovered her true genius in comedy. She honed her timing in radio, starring in the popular show My Favorite Husband, which laid the groundwork for her television career. I Love Lucy and television stardom. In 1951, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz created I Love Lucy, which revolutionized American television. Ball's portrayal of the lovable, mischievous Lucy Ricardo showcased her physical comedy, impeccable timing, and daring sense of humor. The show was groundbreaking for its use of a live studio audience, multiple cameras, and high production values. Not only was I Love Lucy a smash hit, it also broke barriers by featuring an interracial couple on primetime television. Ball and Arnaz's company, Desi Productions, became a powerhouse, later producing classics like Star Trek and Mission Impossible. Later career and influence. After I Love Lucy, Ball starred in The Lucy Show and Here's Lucy, continuing her television success into the 1960s and 70s. Beyond performing, she became the first woman to head a major Hollywood studio when she bought out Desi Productions in 1962. Ball's work ethic and trailblazing vision helped shape modern television comedy and production. Her boldness paved the way for women in entertainment both on-screen and behind the scenes. Personal life. Lucille Ball's marriage to Desi Arnaz was both passionate and tumultuous. They divorced in 1960, though they remained close friends until Arnaz's death in 1986. Ball later married comedian Gary Morton in 1961, with whom she stayed until her death. She had two children with Arnaz, Lucy Arnaz and Desi Arnaz Jr., both of whom pursued entertainment careers. Legacy. Lucille Ball passed away on April 26, 1989, at the age of 77. She left behind a legacy as one of the greatest comedians of all time, remembered for her groundbreaking work, her pioneering role as a female studio head, and her lasting impact on the world of television. Today, Ball is celebrated not only for her comedy but also for her courage, resilience, and contributions to the entertainment industry. She remains a cultural icon, with I Love Lucy still beloved by audiences worldwide. Comedy style and genius. Lucille Ball wasn't just funny, she was fearless. She mastered physical comedy, making pratfalls, exaggerated facial expressions, and slapstick antics look effortless. Whether stuffing chocolates into her mouth on a conveyor belt or stomping grapes in Italy, she combined meticulous rehearsal with natural spontaneity. Ball was also a pioneer in self-deprecating humor. At a time when women were expected to be glamorous and poised, she wasn't afraid to look silly, messy, or awkward. Her ability to laugh at herself made her relatable and beloved.
Đêm kết
Many
thúc kỳ thi đại học kết thúc vốn là
Carol
bữa tiệc đính
Burnett,
hôn.
Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and countless others cite Ball as a major influence, calling her a trailblazer who proved women could lead comedy with intelligence and strength. Desilu Productions and business achievements. Lucille Ball's influence extended beyond her performances. With Desi Arnaz, she co-founded Desilu Productions, which became a major force in television. Their decision to film I Love Lucy on 35mm film, rather than live broadcast kinescope, meant the show could be rerun, an innovation that essentially invented the rerun model and established syndication as a cornerstone of television economics. After her divorce from Arnaz, Ball bought out his share of Desilu in 1962, becoming the first female head of a major television studio. Under her leadership, Desilu greenlit and produced shows that would become cornerstones of American television. Star Trek 1966, which initially struggled but later became a global phenomenon. Mission Impossible 1966, which spawned decades of adaptations. The Untouchables, 1959 to 1963, a gritty crime drama. These shows proved Ball had vision far beyond comedy. She was a savvy businesswoman who understood risk-taking and creative potential. Later career and recognition. Although The Lucy Show, 1962 to 1968, and Here's Lucy, 1968 to 1974, never quite matched the cultural explosion of I Love Lucy, they remained highly successful and kept Ball in the spotlight for decades. Ball also returned to Broadway in the 1960s and made occasional film appearances. She received numerous awards, including 4 Primetime Emmy Awards, with 13 nominations, the Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award, 1979, the Kennedy Center Honors, 1986, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, posthumously awarded in 1989. Personal character and legacy. Lucille Ball was known for her toughness and professionalism. Behind her on-screen warmth was a woman of discipline and determination. She ran rehearsals with precision and demanded excellence from herself and others. At the same time, she was generous in supporting younger performers, most famously mentoring Carol Burnett. Her legacy endures through the I Love Lucy show, still syndicated worldwide, the Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz Museum and Center for Comedy in Jamestown, New York. Her role in opening doors for women in television as both performers and executives. Lucille Ball wasn't just a star, she reshaped the entertainment landscape. She made it possible for women to lead in comedy, proved television could be both artistic and profitable, and left behind a model of courage, innovation, and humor that continues to inspire. Early life in detail. Lucille Désirée Ball was born in Jamestown, New York, in 1911 to Henry Durrell Ball and Desiree Dee Hunt. When Lucille was only 3, her father died of typhoid fever, and the family's financial situation became precarious. Her mother remarried, and young Lucille spent much of her childhood being raised by her grandparents. As a teenager, she showed an interest in acting and enrolled in the John Murray Anderson School for the Dramatic Arts in New York City. However, she was overshadowed by classmates like Bette Davis and was told she had no future in show business. Determined to prove herself, she worked odd jobs, including modeling as a Chesterfield girl for cigarette ads before breaking into Hollywood. Hollywood career. Before I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball's career in the 1930s and 1940s was built on persistence. She signed with RKO Pictures, appearing in over 70 films, many of them B-movies. Some notable works include Stage Door, 1937, alongside Katharine Hepburn and Ginger Rogers. Too Many Girls, 1940, where she met Desi Arnaz. The Big Street, 1942, her critically praised dramatic role with Henry Fonda. Though Hollywood often cast her as a glamorous sidekick, Ball longed for comedic opportunities. Her natural timing and gift for slapstick came alive on radio, especially in My Favorite Husband, 1948 to 1951. Marriage to Desi Arnaz. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, a charismatic Cuban bandleader. Married in 1940 after a whirlwind romance. Their marriage was passionate but rocky, marked by Desi's heavy drinking, infidelity, and the pressures of fame. Yet their creative partnership became legendary. When CBS was reluctant to cast Desi as her husband in I Love Lucy, Ball insisted, refusing to do the show without him. Together, they became one of America's most famous couples, both on and off screen. They had 2 children, Lucy Arnaz, b. 1951, who became an actress and singer. Desi Arnaz Jr., b. 1953, who pursued acting and music. Their marriage ended in divorce in 1960, but their bond remained strong. In fact, Desi's last words to Lucille, the night before he died in 1986, were, "I love you too. Honey, good luck with your show." Career highlights timeline 1951 to 1957. I Love Lucy, one of the most watched and beloved TV shows in history. 1957 to 1960. The Lucy Desi Comedy Hour, follow-up specials featuring celebrity guest stars. 1962 to 1968, The Lucy Show, company starring Vivian Vance, another success. 1968 to 1974. Here's Lucy, featured her real-life children, Lucy and Desi Jr. 1986, returned to television with Life with Lucy, though it was short-lived. Her production company, Desilu, also oversaw Star Trek, Mission Impossible, and The Andy Griffith Show, all of which became cultural touchstones. Personality and character behind the laughter, Lucille Ball was a perfectionist. She rehearsed tirelessly, often repeating scenes dozens of times to perfect timing. She had a no-nonsense approach to work, earning respect in a male-dominated industry. At the same time, she was warm-hearted, remembered by colleagues as loyal and generous. Carol Burnett, whom Ball mentored, later said Lucille was like a second mother. Ball was also known for her close friendship with co-star Vivian Vance. Though Vance often struggled with being typecast as Ethel. Later years and death. In her later years, Lucille Ball slowed her career but remained a beloved public figure. She appeared at award shows, tributes, and talk shows, often speaking candidly about her life in entertainment. On April 26, 1989, Lucille Ball died at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles from complications after heart surgery. She was 77. Her passing prompted an outpouring of tributes from around the world. Enduring legacy. I Love Lucy remains one of the most syndicated and beloved shows globally. Ball broke barriers for women as both a comedic lead and studio executive. Her influence is seen in modern sitcoms and female-led comedy. The Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, held annually in her hometown of Jamestown, continues her mission of celebrating humor. She is remembered not just as a star but as a pioneer who changed television forever. The making of I Love Lucy. When I Love Lucy premiered in October 1951, television was still a relatively new medium. Ball and Arnaz pushed against the network's expectations in several ways. Casting Desi Arnaz. CBS originally wanted a white American actor to play Lucy's husband. Ball refused, insisting on Desi. making them one of the first interracial couples shown on primetime television. 3-camera filming technique. Desilu hired Karl Freund, a German cinematographer from Hollywood's golden age, to develop the now standard multi-camera setup. This allowed scenes to be filmed in front of a live audience while still maintaining cinematic quality. Live studio audience. Unlike most shows of the time, I Love Lucy was performed in front of a real audience, enhancing its energy and comedic timing. Ball thrived on this feedback, adjusting her rhythm to laughter and applause. 35mm film. Instead of the low-quality kinescopes used by other shows, I Love Lucy was filmed on high-quality film. This decision preserved the series for syndication, making it timeless. Innovative storylines. The show broke barriers by addressing real-life events, such as Ball's real pregnancy with Desi Jr., which became part of the storyline when Lucy Ricardo gave birth to Little Ricky. That episode, aired on January 19, 1953, drew 44 million viewers, more than watched President Eisenhower's inauguration the next day. Famous episodes and iconic moments. Some episodes remain among the most celebrated in TV history. Lucy does a TV commercial, Vitamita Vegemin. Lucy gets tipsy while selling a vitamin tonic. Job switching. The chocolate factory conveyor belt scene, often considered the greatest sitcom moment ever. Lucy's Italian movie, the grape stomping sequence in Italy, famous for its physical comedy and real unscripted chaos. Lucy is Enceinte, the groundbreaking pregnancy storyline, notable because the word pregnant was not allowed on TV at the time. Each showcased Ball's physical genius, ability to improvise, and commitment to comedy at all costs. Lucille Ball off-screen. While audiences saw a zany, light-hearted character, the real Lucille Ball was quite different. Work ethic. She was meticulous, disciplined, and sometimes tough. Cast members recalled her as a perfectionist who demanded long rehearsals and exact timing. Ball herself admitted, "I'm not funny. What I am is brave." Friendships. She formed a lifelong bond with Vivian Vance, Ethel, though Vance sometimes felt overshadowed. Ball fought for her to receive equal pay and resisted studio pressure to cast a frumpier actress as Ethel. Mentorship. She was a mentor to younger comedians, most notably Carol Burnett, who called Ball her second mother. Ball appeared on Burnett's show many times, and even in her later years, she phoned Burnett every year on her birthday. Private struggles. Her marriage to Desi Arnaz was full of love but plagued by his drinking, gambling, and infidelity. After their divorce, she later admitted she had been too focused on saving the marriage at the expense of her own happiness. Still, she spoke of Arnaz with admiration and affection until the end of her life. Later life personality. In interviews, Ball came across as candid, sometimes blunt, and reflective. She had little patience for flattery and preferred honesty. Many colleagues described her as both warm and tough. Later career and final years. In 1962, Ball made history as the first woman to run a major TV studio, guiding Desilu through a golden period. Though she later sold it, her fingerprints remained on landmark shows like Star Trek. She returned to film in the 1968 musical Mame, but the production was poorly received. Still, she continued to act on TV and in guest appearances into the 1980s. Her final project, Life with Lucy, 1986, was cancelled after just 8 episodes, but she took the failure with humor, saying the public preferred remembering her as Lucy Ricardo. On April 26, 1989, Lucille Ball died of an aortic rupture following surgery, leaving behind not only her 2 children but an enormous legacy. Legacy and cultural impact. Television pioneer, she proved sitcoms could have lasting cultural and commercial value. Role model, she showed women could be leaders in Hollywood as both stars and executives. Comedy influence. Her blend of slapstick and emotional warmth inspired generations of comedians. Enduring fame. I Love Lucy still airs globally, drawing new fans across generations. Ball once said, "I'd rather regret the things I've done than regret the things I haven't done." That spirit defined her career and continues to resonate today. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz. A legendary love story. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz's relationship was one of Hollywood's most famous love stories, passionate, stormy, and ultimately heartbreaking. Meeting. They met in 1940 on the set of Too Many Girls. Lucille was a rising actress and Desi was a Cuban bandleader with charisma and charm. They married the same year, after just 6 months of dating. Challenges. Their marriage was marked by Desi's heavy drinking, infidelity, and the pressures of fame. Lucille herself admitted, "He could make me laugh when no one else could. But he also broke my heart." Creative partnership. Despite personal struggles, their professional bond was magic. Together, they built I Love Lucy, changing television forever. Their real-life chemistry translated seamlessly into comedy. Divorce. By 1960, their marriage could no longer withstand the strain. Lucille filed for divorce, citing Desi's drinking and affairs. Still, they parted with respect. She later said, "I loved Desi until the day he died." Final years together. Even after divorce, they remained close friends. When Desi was dying in 1986, Lucille spoke to him on the phone. His last words were, "I love you too, honey." Their relationship was so impactful that many fans still see them as one of television's greatest couples, both in fiction and reality. Career timeline. 1930s to 1940s. Early struggles in Hollywood career. 1933, moved to New York, worked as a model, Chesterfield Girl. 1937 to 1940, small film roles at RKO, appeared with stars like Katharine Hepburn in Stage Door. 1940, starred in Too Many Girls, met and married Desi Arnaz. 1940s, became known as the Queen of the B-movies. Notable films include The Big Street, 1942, with Henry Fonda. 1950s, I Love Lucy and Stardom. 1951, I Love Lucy premiered, becoming an instant phenomenon. 1953, Ball's pregnancy written into the show, groundbreaking moment. Lucy Goes to the Hospital episode drew 44 million viewers. 1957, I Love Lucy ended after 6 seasons, though it lived on in syndication. 1960s, Desilu and new shows. 1960, divorced Desi Arnaz. 1962, bought out Arnaz's share of Desilu, becoming first woman to head a major studio. 1962 to 1968, starred in The Lucy Show with Vivian Vance. 1966, Desilu produced Star Trek and Mission Impossible. 1970s, continued success. 1968 to 1974, starred in Here's Lucy, featuring her children Lucy and Desi Jr. 1974, sold Desilu, later part of Paramount. 1979, received Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award. 1980s, honors and farewell. 1986, starred in Short-Lived Life with Lucy. 1986, honored at the Kennedy Center. 1989, passed away on April 26 at age 77, following heart surgery. Lucille Ball's personality and philosophy. Discipline. Known for rehearsing tirelessly, she often said comedy was serious business. Generosity. Mentored younger talents, most famously Carol Burnett, whom she treated like family. Courage. Broke barriers as a woman in power in Hollywood. Humility. Despite her fame, she never saw herself as a naturally funny person. She once said, "I'm not funny. What I am is brave." Cultural legacy comedy icon. Paved the way for women in comedy, inspiring performers from Carol Burnett to Tina Fey. TV pioneer. Revolutionized how sitcoms were filmed and syndicated. Business visionary. Her leadership at Desilu shaped television's golden age. Immortal character. Lucy Ricardo remains one of the most beloved fictional characters in history. Today, she is celebrated annually at the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival in Jamestown, New York, where her legacy as a pioneer of laughter continues. Family life and children. Lucille Ball always said that, for all her fame, her greatest joy came from being a mother. Lucie Arnaz, b. 1951, Lucille's first child, born at the height of I Love Lucy. Lucy inherited her parents' love for performing and became a successful actress and singer. She later starred in her own sitcom, The Lucie Arnaz Show, 1985. Desi Arnaz Jr., b. 1953. Born just as Little Ricky, was introduced on I Love Lucy. He pursued acting and music, becoming a teen idol in the 1960s as part of the band Dino, Desi and Billy. Lucille was devoted to her children. Though her intense career sometimes limited her time at home, she later admitted regret over missing some family moments due to her workload. Still, both children have consistently spoken of her as a loving, supportive, and protective mother. Friendships and mentorship. Lucille Ball was known for loyalty in her friendships and generosity in mentoring others. Vivian Vance, Ethel Mertz, their on-screen partnership mirrored a real-life bond. Though Vance sometimes struggled with being typecast as the frumpy sidekick, Lucille fought for her to get equal pay and refused to replace her with a less attractive actress, as some executives wanted. Their friendship lasted until Vance's death in 1979. Carol Burnett. Ball became a mentor and maternal figure to Burnett. Every year, without fail, Ball called Carol on her birthday. When Burnett turned 56 on April 26, 1989, the very day Lucille passed, she received her last birthday call from her beloved friend, Gary Morton. After divorcing Desi, Lucille remarried in 1961 to comedian Gary Morton. Their marriage lasted until her death. While it lacked the fiery passion of her marriage to Arnaz, it was stable, supportive, and gave Lucille the companionship she needed. Personality behind the scenes. Despite being America's comedy sweetheart, Lucille Ball was quite different in real life. Serious nature, off camera. She was reserved, pragmatic, and deeply business-minded. Co-stars often noted that the goofy, silly Lucy Ricardo was nothing like the real Lucille Ball. Discipline and perfectionism. She treated comedy like a craft, not a talent. She believed her success came from hard work, saying, "Luck? I don't luck into anything. I work at it." Candid honesty. Known for her bluntness, Lucille rarely sugar-coated her opinions. Colleagues sometimes found her intimidating, but they respected her immensely. Resilience. She endured heartbreak, career struggles, and personal disappointments, yet reinvented herself repeatedly. Later years. Lucille Ball lived her later years quietly, mostly in Beverly Hills. She continued making appearances on talk shows and award ceremonies, often reflecting with humor on her career. Some key moments: 1979, honored with the Cecil B. DeMille Golden Globe for Lifetime Achievement. 1986, received the Kennedy Center Honors, cementing her as an American cultural treasure. 1989, appeared at the Academy Awards with Bob Hope, her last major public appearance, just weeks before her passing. She died on April 26, 1989, from complications following heart surgery, at 77. The nation mourned, with newspapers and TV specials celebrating her as the First Lady of Comedy. Enduring legacy. Lucille Ball's private strength and public laughter combined to make her unforgettable. She remains a comedy icon. Her humor feels timeless, still making audiences laugh generations later. A pioneer for women, she proved women could lead sitcoms, run studios, and command audiences. A cultural symbol, she embodied the American dream, rising from small-town poverty to become a global star. At her core, Lucille Ball was a woman who refused to give up on her career, her art, or her vision for what television could be. The Chocolate Factory episode, Job Switching, 1952. This episode is often ranked as the funniest TV moment of all time. Lucy and Ethel take jobs in a candy factory, tasked with wrapping chocolates on a conveyor belt. Improvisation. The conveyor belt gag was not fully scripted. Lucille and Vivian Vance improvised much of the chaos, stuffing chocolates into their mouths, hats, and shirts as the belt sped up. Timing. Lucille rehearsed endlessly to get the rhythm right. She knew that physical comedy depended on precision. Result. The episode became an instant classic, cementing Lucy as the queen of slapstick. The Vitamita Vegemin episode, Lucy does a TV commercial. 1952. Lucy auditions for a commercial promoting a health tonic called Vitamita Vegemin, which is actually filled with alcohol. Script mastery. Lucille had to memorize a tongue-twisting sales pitch and deliberately mess it up as she got drunker with each sip. Physical transformation. She shifted from poised and professional to tipsy and incoherent, showcasing her ability to combine verbal and physical comedy seamlessly. Behind the scenes. Lucille practiced the slurred delivery for days. Crew members laughed so hard during filming that retakes were delayed. The Grape Stomping episode, Lucy's Italian movie, 1956. While in Italy, Lucy gets recruited to stomp grapes for a film role. Authenticity. Lucille insisted on real grapes in a real vat. She and her co-star, Teresa Torelli, actually stomped barefoot. Unscripted chaos. During the grape stomping scene, the two women slipped, wrestled, and accidentally held each other under the juice. Much of what was filmed wasn't scripted, it was genuine struggle and laughter. Impact. The scene became one of the most replayed moments in sitcom history. The pregnancy storyline, 1952-1953. Lucille's real-life pregnancy with Desi Arnaz Jr. was woven into the show, making television history. Censorship battles. CBS and advertisers didn't want the word pregnant used on TV. Instead, Lucy was described as expecting. Groundbreaking moment. When Lucy Ricardo gave birth to little Ricky in January 1953, 44 million viewers tuned in, more than watched President Eisenhower's inauguration the next day. Symbolism. For many American families, Lucy's pregnancy felt like their own, making the show even more relatable. Behind the cameras. The multi-camera revolution. Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz revolutionized TV production by filming I Love Lucy with 3 cameras in front of a live studio audience. Karl Freund's cinematography. The German cameraman, who had worked on Metropolis, 1927, designed the setup that allowed comedy to flow seamlessly. Syndication. By filming on high-quality 35mm, I Love Lucy episodes could be rerun. This essentially invented syndication, a system that later made television profitable worldwide. Lucy and Vivian Vance. Real friendship, real tension partnership. Their chemistry as Lucy and Ethel was magic. Vivian's dry wit balanced Lucille's physical antics. Support. Lucille defended Vivian when executives wanted her to look dowdier. Challenges. Off-screen. Vivian sometimes resented being typecast as frumpy, but their bond remained strong until Vance's death in 1979. Legacy of the show I Love Lucy ran from 1951 to 1957. Then evolved into the Lucy Desi Comedy Hour until 1960. It has never been off the air since, still syndicated globally. Its innovations, multi-camera filming, syndication, audience engagement, are now industry standards. Lucille once said, "I wanted to be remembered as someone who made people laugh." With I Love Lucy, she not only succeeded but created a blueprint for sitcoms that still works today. Desilu Productions. Lucille the executive. When Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz launched Desilu Productions, it began as a way to produce I Love Lucy. But by the mid-1950s, it had grown into one of the most powerful studios in Hollywood. Innovation. Desilu pioneered the three-camera system, syndication model, and live audience sitcom production. Expansion. After her 1960 divorce from Arnaz, Lucille bought out his shares in 1962, becoming the first woman to lead a major television studio. Cultural impact. Under her leadership, Desilu greenlit and produced shows that shaped American culture: The Untouchables, 1959 to 1963, Star Trek, 1966 to 1969, initially a ratings struggle, later a worldwide phenomenon. Mission Impossible, 1966 to 1973, a franchise still alive today. Lucille later sold Desilu to Gulf Plus Western in 1967, which folded it into Paramount Television. Though she let it go, her mark was permanent. She had proven women could run the business side of Hollywood. Post I Love Lucy career, Lucille continued to star in successful sitcoms. The Lucy Show, 1962 to 1968, often centered on Lucy's adventures with her children or her friendship with Vivian Vance. Here's Lucy, 1968 to 1974, featured her real-life children, Lucy Arnaz and Desi Arnaz Jr., giving the show a personal touch. Though popular, neither show reached the groundbreaking level of I Love Lucy. Still, they kept Lucille in the spotlight and proved her staying power. Later struggles. By the late 1970s and 1980s, Lucille faced difficulties balancing her legendary past with new projects. Mame, 1974. Her attempt to return to film in the big-budget musical Mame was a disappointment. Critics felt she was miscast, and Lucille herself later admitted it wasn't her best work. Life with Lucy, 1986. ABC revived her in a new sitcom, but it was cancelled after just 8 episodes due to poor ratings. Lucille was crushed, feeling audiences no longer wanted to see her as Lucy Ricardo. Health. A heavy smoker all her life, Lucille suffered from heart problems in her later years. In 1988, she underwent aortic surgery. Honors and recognition even as her career slowed. Lucille Ball's legacy was recognized widely. 1979, Golden Globe Cecil B. DeMille Award for Lifetime Achievement. 1986, Kennedy Center Honors, acknowledging her as a national treasure. 1989. One of her final public appearances was at the Academy Awards, alongside Bob Hope, where she received a standing ovation. Personal reflections and private life. Marriage to Gary Morton. After divorcing Desi, Lucille married comedian Gary Morton in 1961. Their relationship was quieter and steadier than her marriage to Arnaz, though not as fiery. Friendships. She remained close with Carol Burnett, who called her second mother. Burnett received her final birthday call from Lucille the day she passed away in 1989. Views on comedy. Lucille often said she never considered herself funny. Instead, she believed her success came from discipline and fearlessness. I'm not funny. What I am is brave. Final years and passing in April 1989, after successful but risky heart surgery, Lucille suffered an aortic rupture and passed away at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. She was 77 years old. The news sparked an outpouring of grief across the world. Headlines mourned not only a comedian but the First Lady of television. Fans left flowers outside her home and studio gates, and tributes aired nationwide. Legacy cultural icon. I Love Lucy continues to air globally, beloved by new generations. Industry pioneer. She proved women could lead both on screen and in boardrooms. Comedy's standard bearer. Her influence is visible in sitcoms from The Mary Tyler Moore Show to Friends to 30 Rock. Enduring symbol. Statues, museums, and comedy festivals keep her memory alive, especially in her hometown of Jamestown, New York. Lucille Ball didn't just make people laugh, she changed how television worked. How women were seen in comedy, and how entertainment could endure for generations. A barrier breaker for women in Hollywood. Lucille Ball's significance goes far beyond I Love Lucy. First female studio head, in 1962, when she bought out Desi Arnaz's shares of Desilu Productions. She became the first woman to run a major Hollywood studio. At a time when women were rarely even executives, she was greenlighting shows that would define the future of television. Redefining women on TV. Before Lucille, women on television were typically glamorous, secondary characters. She smashed that mold by being messy, silly, and ambitious, while still lovable. Lucy Ricardo was a housewife, but she was never passive, she always wanted more. That desire made her both funny and revolutionary. Influence on later generations. Carol Burnett, Lily Tomlin, Gilda Radner, Roseanne Barr, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, all cite Lucille Ball as a model who made their careers possible. Personality and character behind her sunny, goofy on-screen persona. Lucille was known to be disciplined. She treated comedy with the seriousness of drama. Rehearsals for I Love Lucy were rigorous. Nothing was left to chance. Her timing was so precise that directors said she could fall on a banana peel at the exact same second in every take. Perfectionist. Co-stars remembered that she demanded commitment from everyone on set. Vivian Vance once admitted she was intimidated at first, but grew to love Lucy's exacting standards. Warm yet tough. Lucille wasn't always easygoing, but she was deeply loyal to friends. She mentored Carol Burnett, regularly giving her advice and encouragement. Burnett later called Lucille my second mother. Private. Despite her comedic fame, Lucille often described herself as shy and introverted off camera. She felt more comfortable becoming Lucy Ricardo than being herself in public. Marriage with Desi Arnaz. The partnership between Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz was both legendary and turbulent. Creative soulmates, together, they created I Love Lucy, revolutionized sitcom filming, and built Desilu into a powerhouse. Personal struggles. Arnaz's drinking, infidelity, and volatile temper strained their marriage. Despite loving each other deeply, the two divorced in 1960. Enduring love, though remarried to others, Lucille and Desi remained close. On his deathbed in 1986, Desi's final words to Lucille were, "I love you too, honey. Good luck with your show." Later life and public image. Second marriage. In 1961, Lucille married comedian Gary Morton. Their marriage was steadier and gave her comfort after years of turbulence with Desi. Generational bridge. Lucille managed to stay relevant for decades. Even younger fans who didn't grow up with I Love Lucy knew her face, laugh, and legacy. Challenges. She sometimes struggled with the weight of her legend. Life with Lucy, 1986, failed, and critics began framing her as a relic. But her earlier achievements remained untouchable. After her death, 1989, when Lucille Ball passed away in April 1989, tributes poured in worldwide. National mourning. Newspapers across America ran front-page stories. President George H.W. Bush called her a true American legend. Carol Burnett's tribute. She revealed that Lucille had called her on her birthday, April 26, just hours before passing away. Burnett said, "She never missed my birthday. Not once." Legacy in Jamestown. Her hometown in New York created the Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz Museum and Center for Comedy, dedicated to preserving her impact. Lasting legacy. I Love Lucy in syndication. The show continues to air around the world, proving timeless. Its humor transcends language and culture. Influence on television. Without Lucille Ball, there might not have been The Mary Tyler Moore Show, Seinfeld, or even modern sitcoms like Friends. Comedy festivals. Every year, comedians gather in Jamestown, NY, for the Lucille Ball Comedy Festival, keeping her memory alive. Statues and honors. Despite some controversy over the first Scary Lucy statue, a new bronze sculpture unveiled in 2016 finally captured her warm spirit, drawing fans from around the world. Lucille Ball wasn't just an actress or a comedian. She was a visionary, a business pioneer, and a symbol of resilience. She showed the world that comedy could be sharp, intelligent, and led by women, and that television could be more than just entertainment. It could be art.
Bye bye. Thanks for watching. Bye.